What's up guys, it's Lynn Sam here from Ugly Sofa Gaming. Today we're doing another tutorial played badly. If you don't watch the rest of these, go check them out. We've had a lot of fun making them and we're hoping they're useful for some people and entertaining for a smarter bunch of people that haven't played Dreams before. No, that have played Dreams before. Anyway, so today we're looking at character gameplay. Want to know how to change a blank puppet settings? Maybe you want to add a custom ability. Special moves and enhanced settings are all possible, and here's where you'll learn how. So, I've already played the tutorials a long time ago, and I've mostly forgotten them. Sam has never played them, as she doesn't take instruction very well. So, I'm going to hand the controller over to her, and she's going to play this one.
It looks like Cuthbert is really stuck this time. In previous tutorials, you've edited the scene to help Connie reach Cuthbert. But this time, you'll be editing Connie herself, supercharging her with some new abilities to get past the obstacles in the scene. Bear in mind that this is a complex tutorial in which it's easy to make a mistake.
Oh, great.
If you do, remember to use the left direction.
Pay attention.
You said this one would be easy.
It will be easy as long as you pay attention. Pay attention and, for once, do what you're told.
Press the X button to jump.
Look, can't jump.
Oops, she can't even get over the first obstacle. So let's start by souping up her jump height. Switch back to edit mode and we'll get started. To change Connie's jump height, all we need to do is tweak her. So hover over her, hold L1 and press the square button to open her tweak menu. This is a puppet tweak menu. As you can see, it's jam-packed.
It's a lot of stuff.
Oh boy.
Thankfully, the setting we want.
A lot of pictures of rulers.
Ah, jump heights.
All these settings control Connie's
Just
overall
all the way.
movement. We could make Connie run super fast or super slow, but nah, that's not gonna help her. A nice high jump is what we need. What do we have here? This slider controls Connie's jump height. Hover over it with your imp and hold X to grab it. Move your imp to adjust the slider to around 3 meters. That should be enough to get over that stack of blocks. The puppet tweak menu also has some really useful testing controls. Click R3 to start time, and Connie will come to life. See what happens now if you hover your imp over the jump height slider. You can preview the jump, so you can get it to the perfect height without having to test it in play mode. Actually, I think we should dial it back to 2.5 meters, or she might overshoot the jump. You can make small adjustments to sliders by using the up and down directional buttons. Hover over the slider and use the down directional button to adjust the setting. Feel free to explore some of the other settings in the menu.
A lot to mess with her.
If you're not sure what a button or slider does, just hover over it for a few seconds and a more info
air control
to explain.
So if you want to make it more like Little Big Planet, I think you bung that one right up. Given those floaty controls.
When you've got Connie's jump the way you want it, give it a test run in play mode. See how far Connie can get now. Then move on to the next step when you're ready to continue. Well, that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, Connie's new jumping skills aren't going to be much use on the next obstacle. And don't even think about making her jump over the top, because that force field will zap her in a second.
He knows us. He knows us too well.
The power to crouch. I bet she's always dreamed of it. If you're still in play mode, switch back to edit mode now.
She's a smart current. She could be a doctor or a lawyer. She doesn't have to crouch. She doesn't have to make her living on her knees.
To give her a crouch, We need to scope into her.
Why can't you roll?
Puppets are made up of sculptures, connectors, and gadgets that are grouped together. Hover over Connie, press and hold L1, then press X to scope in. When you've scoped into a puppet, you can see its inner workings. On Connie's back, there's a microchip.
She has a
gadget.
brain on her back.
It's called Connie's brain, and it contains all her logic and animations. Let's take a look
Inhuman.
inside. Hold L1
I mean,
and press
in
X
Conan.
over it to scope
In
in
Conan.
and open the microchip canvas. There's quite a lot going on in here. The gadget I
I
want
reckon
you
we're
to look
learning
at
stuff
is this
playing
one in the
these,
bottom
or are we
right
becoming
corner with the
stupider?
diamond icon.
I really can't tell.
This is a keyframe gadget. If you've played
Ooh,
through the
keyframes.
keyframes in
They're
Time Knight's
important.
tutorial,
I remember
you'll
that
already
much.
know all about these.
We done the keyframes
are
tutorial?
called changes to things in the scene. They
Yes.
store those changes in a gadget, which
I
can be
don't remember doing
triggered using
keyframes.
logic. This keyframe contains a crouching pose for Connie. Select the keyframe with X, and you'll see a
We haven't done
preview of
keyframes
how
yet.
it looks.
Okay.
You sure
Those
we've done
dashed lines
keyframes?
over Connie
No.
show that she's being
We haven't done
pulled by the
keyframes.
keyframe.
She's wrong.
Press circle to deselect the keyframe.
It's animation.
and
We've
it
not
goes
done
back to
animation yet,
normal.
have we?
To be able to activate
Animation
the
we
crouch
did,
keyframe,
yeah.
we
And
need to connect it to Connie's controller
basic
sensor.
logic, wasn't it?
Then you'll be able to make her crouch with a controller
We've
button.
not done animation.
What am
In
I
the next
doing?
step, I'll show you how
You're
to
muddling
do
things up,
exactly
is what you're
that.
doing. You're getting me confused, and you're getting the audience confused.
You're talking about stuff that isn't relevant, and I'm trying to listen to you and listen to him, and now I just keep pressing X over and over, and oh jeez.
Oh, gee, Rick.
I'm supposed to.
I'll
I'm gonna
show
go
you
back
how
10
to do
seconds.
exactly that.
Listen.
Shush then.
Your fault for lying about keyframes.
Connect it
lied to
Connie's
me.
Controller sensor. Then you'll be able to make her crouch with a controller button. In the next step, I'll show you how to do exactly
Hey,
that.
he hasn't told us yet, so that's fine.
There's a bit of a reaction.
To activate the crouch, we're going to connect it to Connie's controller sensor.
Calm down a bit, love, eh?
If you've
Ah,
closed her
shut up.
microchip,
I'm
scope
tired.
back into
I'm
her,
tired.
and then scope into the
Think of your
microchip
most
to
tired
open it
day
up.
as a woman
What?
and multiply it by
The controller
100,
sensor is the
and you'll
large
feel how I
gadget
feel
on the
right now.
microchip. It has a controller icon
You're a
on it.
stupid thing to say.
Open up its tweak menu with L1.
You're a stupid thing to listen to.
Now
L1
you have a
and
microchip
square.
and a tweak menu open. You may
Oh,
need
it's
to
too
arrange
much.
them on the screen.
Buttons.
Make sure that the controller sensor and its tweak menu stay to the left. This is because they generate signals, and signals flow through gadgets from left to right in Dreams. You can also
Left to
save
right.
the 3D space position of tweak menus and microchips, or pin them to the screen, using the buttons that appear at the top when hovering over the canvas. This will help
Oh.
you keep them tidy while you're editing logic, which is very important as it's easy to make mistakes. Now, let's take a closer look at that controller sensor. Ah, look. Controller buttons.
Ah,
Just what we
look.
need. All playable characters contain a controller sensor gadget like this one. But the gadget can also be used for any situation where you want to detect button presses. To assign our keyframe to a button, we just need to wire it to the controller sensor. We won't use a circle button as that depossesses Connie, and X makes her
Oh.
jump. So how about the square button to crouch? Make sure you can see the keyframe on the microchip. Move the tweak menu with R2 if you need to. If you hover over the square button in the controller sensor menu, you'll see ports appear on either side of it. They're just like the ports you see on gadgets. Ports on the left are inputs, and ports on the right are outputs. Now, you need to be very precise for the next part, as it's easy to make a mistake. Carefully hover your imp over the output port of the square button, and press X to create a wire. Stretch that wire over to the keyframe, and connect it to the power port on the bottom of the gadget with X. If at any time you make a mistake, just undo it using the left directional button. Once your crouch move is all wired up, close the controller sensor tweak menu. Hover over it, hold L1, then press circle to close. Now try out Connie's new crouch in play mode. See if she can make it under the second obstacle.
You said press X, right? From the tabby thing to the keyframey thing?
I'm not gonna lie, I was a million miles away.
When you're ready to continue, go back to edit mode. Rewind time with L3 and start the next step.
I like it when the imp turns into animation mode though, and they're all animated. That is adorable, don't you think?
Yes. That doesn't help me right now.
No, but it's the only commentary I can offer.
With X. If at any time you make a mistake, of the square button
Thanks.
and press X to
So
create
it's like
a wire.
Square
Stretch that
button,
wire
press
over
X to
the
make a
keyframe
wire.
and connect it
What?
to the
Stretch,
power
but it's
port
not
on the
making a
bottom of the
wire.
gadget with X.
Press X to make a wire.
If
Go to
at
square
any
button. You
time
can't
you
just
make a
drag the wire
mistake,
like you usually do.
Just undo it using
There
the
isn't
left
one. You have to
directional button.
from the
Once your
tabby. You
crouch
have
move is all
to
wired up, close
X,
the
and
controller sensor
I'm not
tweak
making
menu.
one.
Hover over it, hold L1, then press circle to close. Now try out Connie's new crouch in play mode. See if she can make it under the second obstacle.
Press the square button in. Does that do it? No, it doesn't.
Said something about left to
When
right.
you're ready to continue,
Yeah, because you
go
have
back
to
edit mode.
that's the
Rewind time
input on the
with
left,
L3
and that's the output on the
start the
right.
next
So you have to
step.
go from the right tab to the.
But there's no input.
So yeah, because the user would be the input, you'd press square to trigger an output, which would trigger the crouch button, which is the keyframe.
Do you need to rewatch this section of the video again?
Seems that way. So, like everything else is already assigned stuff. Oh, that's how you turn off depossession. So you can like see that circle is
Yep.
assigned to the
Everyone needs to learn that.
doodah.
This is the
Can I just
gadget.
delete that wire and then boom, happy days.
Happy days, yeah. Anyone that makes dreams where you play as a character, that's one of our faux pas. When we spawn into a dream and you have to manually possess the thing, and it's not like a gameplay mechanic the person's made. It's just cheap. It's just shoddy. It literally takes like 5 minutes to sort that out, and it gives your level a much more polished feel. Like a lot of people spend time making menus and fake load screens and stuff, and that's their prerogative. But definitely make sure you force possession so you start off in the character. Fine, mini rant.
I don't understand.
Stop replaying the last 10
Close
seconds.
the control with X.
That's not where the secret lies.
To the side of it. Move possesses to assign controller sensor gadget like this one. Controller sensor will help you keep
I'm definitely
them tidy.
opening thing from the green box.
Because they menu open icon on it. Open up its tweak menu with L1 and square.
L1 and square.
Now you have a microchip and a tweak menu open, you may need to arrange them on the screen. Make sure that the controller sensor and its tweak menu stay to the left. This is because they generate signals, and signals flow through gadgets from left to right in Dreams. You can also save the 3D space position of tweak menus and microchips, or pin them to the screen, using the buttons that appear at the top when hovering over the canvas. This will help you keep them tidy while you're editing logic, which is very important as it's easy to make mistakes. Now, let's take a closer look at that controller sensor. Ah, look, controller buttons. Just what we need. All playable characters contain a controller sensor gadget like this one.
Okay.
But the gadget can also be used for any situation where you want to detect button presses. To assign our keyframe to a button, we just need to wire it to the controller sensor. We won't use a circle button as that depossesses Connie, and X makes her jump. So how about the square button to crouch? Make sure you can see the keyframe on the microchip. Move the tweak menu with R2 if you need to. If you hover over the square button in the controller sensor menu, you'll see ports appear on either side of it.
Okay.
They're just like the ports you see on gadgets. Ports on the left are inputs, and ports on the right are outputs. Now, you need to be very precise for the next part, as it's easy to make a mistake. Carefully hover your imp over the output port of the square button, and press X to create a wire. Stretch that wire over to the keyframe, and connect it to the power port on the bottom of the gadget with X. If at any time
It's
you
not
make a
creating
mistake,
the wire.
just
Okay, press
undo it
X.
using the left direction
I've seen
button.
what's happened. Press X on
Once
the
your crouch
the
move is
video.
all wired up,
I
close
close
the
the video.
controller sensor
What,
tweak
just pause
menu.
it?
Yep. It's not working because you haven't got the imp out. You've got the animated version of the imp. So you've opened some sort of... You've been messing with the keyframes. What you've been doing is what you've been doing.
So I need to change my...
Press L1 and circle. And again. And again.
Okay.
There it is.
And how do I get that back open? There. Okay. And then that, and then we're back to it. So, square, X. Oop. Oh, my God. We made it.
We
made it.
We?
As a
We're
team.
on to the final obstacle.
As
There's
a
no way around it,
team.
but it looks
That was all me.
destructible. So we're gonna make a slam attack for Connie so that she can smash through it. We'll start by recording a pose for the slam. We can do this using a keyframe. Scope back into Connie and open up her microchip if it isn't already open. If you've played my keyframes and timelines tutorial, you'll have a bit of a head start on this next part.
We
Go to
haven't.
the
We
assembly
established.
menu and open the animate menu. Select the keyframe with X. You'll now have a keyframe gadget on your imp. Stamp it somewhere in the scene with R2 or X. The keyframe records changes you make to objects and settings in the scene. It starts recording as soon as you stamp it. You can tell it's recording because your imp will change shape and colour. Now that we're recording, grab Connie's upper body with R2 and drag it gently down to the floor. Because we're scoped into her, we can move her body parts individually to create a pose. If we weren't scoped in, we'd move Connie's whole body. Notice that her knees automatically bend. Make sure her cone is all the way down to the floor so that you can't see her legs. Keyframes can record changes to anything, even tweak menu settings. So, just for visual flair, let's also make her glow. Hover over Connie's cone, hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu. Because we're scoped in, this opens the tweak menu for the sculpture itself, rather than the puppet. All the settings on this page change the way Connie's cone looks. Look for the glow slider on the first page. Its icon is a sun. Raise the glow up to about 40%. Once you've set the glow, select Stop Recording in the context menu to store the changes to the keyframe. You can close the tweak menu now too. Just hover over it, hold L1 and press circle. Select the keyframe gadget with X to preview what's been recorded. Looks good. Deselect the keyframe by pressing circle. In the next step, we'll continue building Connie's slam attack.
Okay, slam attack.
The next step is to place our new Connie animation into a timeline. Using a timeline will let us time the animations and effects of the slam attack. Go to the Assembly menu and back to the Animate menu. Select the timeline with X. Hover over Connie's microchip and stamp a timeline
recording,
above
sweetie.
the crouch keyframe.
You have a wet nose.
Now let's open the
Oh, I
timeline
don't.
canvas with
Talking to
L1
the cat.
and X.
Leave the jokes to me. You listen to
The slam
Clive.
attack should be a really quick animation.
You're really mean.
So adjust the canvas so it's only
Harmony
1
does a
second
big
long.
joke.
She
Any
does.
longer,
She
and
doesn't.
it won't feel snappy
Ah!
enough.
Oh my god, she's on my
Hover
jumper.
over the edge of the
She's
timeline
gonna put
canvas
it off.
so that a white line appears along it.
We're
You'll
in a
also
pickle.
see a white double-ended arrow appear next to the edge by your imp. When you see this, grab the edge of the
Ow,
canvas
claws.
with X. Move your imp to shorten the timeline to 1 second.
Oh, she's freaking out.
Make sure you don't select the trim button by mistake.
Unhook her.
It's a square
Oh, we're
button
free.
by the numbers at the top of the timeline.
Free at
It
last.
has a black arrow on it.
Bye, kitty.
The timeline duration is now correct, but the space is very small. So let's zoom in a bit. Hover your
What
imp
did I
over the
miss?
timeline canvas.
I don't really know.
Hold L1 and press the right directional
You have to
button
make this
zoom
smaller.
in.
Something about timelines?
Yeah.
This will keep the timeline duration to 1 second long, but stretch the space so that you can fit more detail into
Stretching
it.
my second.
If you need to zoom
Or in
out,
my day.
just hold L1 and press the left directional button. Now let's put our slam attack keyframe onto the timeline. Grab the keyframe with R2 and place it at the start of the timeline canvas. Make sure you've got the slam keyframe and not the crouch one. The gadget automatically
know.
snaps to the surface of the canvas. The keyframe is only a
Yeah,
fraction of a
that's the
second
crouch
long
one.
at the moment, but we need it to fill the length of the timeline. So hover over the keyframe and hold the up directional button to scale it. Make it the same length as the timeline. Now we want to
Hold
wire
it,
the
woman.
timeline up to a button press,
Okay.
just like we did with the crouch. Move the timeline canvas so that you can see
Oh,
the
I made it a bit
controller
longer than a
sensor
second.
and
Never
the
mind.
timeline gadget.
Tapping.
Open the
Tapping.
controller sensor
Tapping it.
tweak menu with L1 and square. I'm going to use L1 as the slam attack button.
Falling behind.
Hover over the output
Well, one
port
and
of the
square.
L1 button and press X to create a wire. Stretch the wire down to the timeline gadget and connect it to the power port on the bottom. You can now use the L1 button to perform Connie's slam
That one.
attack. Give it a try in play mode.
Kid
At the
mode.
moment, it's just an animation, so it's not going to do anything to the blocks.
Nice to animate something though, eh?
I'll show you how to add
Yeah.
some force to it. When you're ready to continue, return to edit mode, rewind time, and start
Where's the colour
next
gone?
step.
That's the crash button.
Oh, I see. It's a
That's the
different.
slam attack. Which is just a crouch with a colour.
The slam attack animation
many
is all
boxes.
set up, but it's not doing much besides looking cool. So we need to add a gadget to our timeline that will emit a force when Connie slams the ground. The gadget we're going to use for this is the force applier. Go to the assembly menu and open the gadgets menu. Find the move as an output menu and open it with X. The icon for the force applier looks like a gust of wind. Select it with X to equip it to your imp. I hope you've still got the timeline open. If not, open it with L1 and X. Stamp the force applier onto the timeline canvas below the keyframe. Press circle to unequip the force applier from your imp.
There we go.
The force applier isn't very strong by default, so we'll need to tweak it.
Tweaks upon
To
tweaks.
open its tweak menu, Hover over the gadget, hold L1 and press square. At the top of the tweak menu is the Force Strength slider. Its icon is a beefy arm. Drag it all the way up to 100% using your imp. That will ensure the force emitted will overcome the gravity in the scene and the friction between the blocks. Next, increase the force speed to 10 meters per second. That will give the slam attack some punch. If you take a look at
This is risky.
You'll see a green zone around her. Anything in this zone will be affected by the force applier. At the moment, the zone isn't much bigger than Connie. Hover your imp over the zone and arrow gizmos will appear. Grab them with R2 and move your imp to change the size of the zone. Or you can scale the zone more precisely in the Force Applier Tweak menu. Go to the tab called Zone Size. Grab the zone size slider with X and set it to about 3.5 meters.
Oh, I can't see the numbers.
Okay, let's
3.9.
test out Connie's new
close enough.
powers. Switch up.
Just like when you're baking, you've overgoosed everything.
Overgoosed? I don't overgoose anything.
You've
Bacon is
overgoosed it.
Slam
delicious.
attacker try.
Ah, possess.
Too much sugar. Too many eggs.
Like
It's not
more
true.
Too much
This
milk.
needs a whole lot more cake.
The force applier is pushing her off the platform.
What was it? Oh,
Switch back to
Ah.
edit mode and rewind time. In the final step, I'll show you how to tweak the force applier. So
I don't think you've done this right. This does not look the way it did when I made mine.
To prevent the force applier from pushing Connie off the platforms, we're going to use labels. Scope back into Connie and
Labels.
open up her microchip. Open the timeline canvas with L1 and X. Now tweak the force applier with L1 and square. Labels can be given to any object in the scene, and gadgets like the force applier can detect them. In the force applier tweak menu, go to the Labels tab. By default, it will detect all labels. There are labels for all sorts of objects: foes, scenery, targets. The friend label is used for playable characters like Connie or friendly characters like Cuthbert. So if we deselect it, the force applier will no longer affect Connie. Hover over the friend button and press X to deselect it. It's the button with the heart icon.
This makes so much sense.
Really?
Now Connie should be able to blast through the blocks without
The logic is
firing
making
herself
sense.
off into space.
It's logical, but I'm
Use
gonna
her
forget
new
it.
skills to pass all the obstacles. And you can use your new skills to create some characters for your scenes.
Oh, why do I keep pressing circle?
Circle is usually the crouch button in games, is it not?
When you've successfully rescued Cuthbert, go through the door
Was it
and finish
L1?
this tutorial.
Oh, there we go. We saved him
Not
again.
exactly a slam attack, was it though?
Well, everything got out of the way, didn't it?
It sure did. When I did it, it was like you jump up and then she like boop, and she like hit the floor and then things moved. You just kind of turned yellow and everything moved out of the way.
Oh, well. Mine's different.
It sure is. It sure is. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. We are Ugly Surfer Gaming and we upload new videos Monday to Friday from Dreams Early Access. If you like our content, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share the video on your favourite corner of the internet. Any one of those things really helps us out. Thank you very much.